Okay, this is a 38 Victory model, 38 Special, but I believe it started its life as a Lend-Lease gun for the British. There's a British stamp, a proof mark on it, and I believe after the war they converted a lot of these to 38 Special for the commercial market. It was originally chambered in 38 to what the British called 38 200, I believe, which is the same as the 38 Smith & Wesson short. Smith & Wesson brought them back, reamed the chamber slightly to adapt to a 38 Special, put a different barrel on it, and so they're more of a curio, kind of a fun range gun more than anything a valuable collectible. But this one was pretty badly out of time. I'll put a little clip on the video. The cylinder was very loose, so I spent some time, replaced the cylinder stop and got it to line up, checked the timing, and I think we're pretty close on that because it was really scraping and spitting lead out the side, and was probably a little on the dangerous side. So got it pretty close now, but I noticed if you open up that the forcing cone there is just, there is no chamfering at all. It is just basically flat. And so I decided to put a slight chamfer on it to see if that will also aid a little bit more in getting that bullet to go straight out. Even though the spitting issue is pretty rare at this point, but it's every now and then I'll feel a little piece. So, but it will hopefully help the process. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out the cylinder. Set that aside, open this up and slide the cylinder off. And you can see there that that is just really, there is nothing in the way of any kind of opening there. It's just flat. So I think, you know, they brought them back to the US, probably didn't spend a whole lot of money converting these guns. The finish is a little rough, and these grips are not original. The ones that were on here were pretty shoddy looking, and I don't think they were original either. And these seem to fit a little bit, so I had to fit these a little bit, but they actually look pretty nice. So I'm gonna get the grips off just so I can kind of mount it in the vise a little bit better. A little bit tight. There goes my grip screw, but that should be okay for now. So I'm gonna get this thing mounted up in the vise, and we'll get the chamfering gear together and go through that process. Okay, so basically, this is an 11-degree chamfer cutter. Apparently there's been a lot of research over the years about what the right chamfer on these revolvers is, and 11 degrees was apparently the magic one. This is just a simple T handle with a little aluminum guide to go in the front of the barrel to keep everything lined up. So I got it mounted, so hopefully you'll be able to see what's happening. But basically, we got to get this thing lined up in the barrel, screwed onto the T handle. and get some oil on the cutter and on the facing of the forcing cone there. And you only want to turn this thing to the right, clockwise. Otherwise you will dull it. And put a little extra oil on there, just to make sure. And then slowly begin to turn it using that guide on the front of the barrel to hold it in place. And you can kind of feel it. You don't want to overdo it. Just get it started a little bit. Then we'll follow this up with a brass polishing and do a little lapping on it. So I think I'm going to just stop there. Get all this stuff taken out. Yeah, you can see the little chips on there. So we're making progress. So be back in another second. Okay, so after half a dozen, 10 very gentle turns with the cutter, there's a nice little chamfer there. Now I'm going to take some 320 grit lapping compound and apply it to this brass reamer and thread it back onto my T-handle. And basically do the same thing and just kind of clean up any possible burrs that might be on there. And once we get it cleaned up, and we'll get this thing out to the range and see how we do with it. So. And that's basically the process. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with 600 grit for one last polishing. And then we'll get her put back together and out to the range and see how it goes. Okay, so I got it cleaned up and put back together, and I don't think there's any way I can show you what the result is. But basically, there's now a slight chamfer, and it probably only goes in about 1/8 of an inch or so, maybe a bit more. You don't want to go too far. You certainly don't want to compromise the end of the barrel, or the breech of the barrel where it meets the cylinder. That would be the end of the barrel in the gun, basically. So. So you just basically want a few turns, get that thing started. The lapping compound really cleaned things up, so it's nice and smooth now. So like I said, it was shooting very well before. Hopefully this is going to improve things. So we'll get it out to the range and give it a try. But basically that is the process for lapping the forcing cone on a revolver. All right, safe shooting. Take care.